In either form of these, right now, they both fill the role of the CEO. It's the chief executive officer of the government as a body that's charged with delivering programs and services to the community. And so under the administration, right now, the manager is the CEO. If it changes, the president becomes the CEO. But they're not the same. A lot of people just equivocate it and say, oh, well, I'd rather have an elected CEO than an unelected CEO. But they have very different powers that are granted to them. It's important to understand what those powers are. A manager hires and fires department heads based on their professional qualifications and has to fire based on cause. Can't just fire me because I don't like you, right? A mayor or CEO hires and fires department heads as at-will positions. An at-will position means you work for me because I say you work for me. If I want you to work for me, guess what? You don't work for me. Then you can't say anything about it. And so often what happens, a good mayor, CEO, president in this structure, would hire people based on professional qualifications, make sure they're there, and it runs normally. The form of government does not require it, though. So what you could have in the future is a president who says, and you'll see this in a lot of places, who are my biggest political donors? Who are the people that are loyal to me? Guess who's going to get the department head jobs, which are the highest paid jobs? Right? That's what a corrupt type of mayor or president can do, and the form of government allows for that. There's nothing illegal about that. They hire in, at will, the people that they feel most comfortable to accomplish the job. Again, it's the people, not the forms of government, that make government work or not. The form of government gives you parameters and boundaries to say, is this going to work? What are the risks that we're willing to take for this, right? And so, very different in how they hire department heads. A manager or CEO has to ensure effective and efficient operation of government to achieve the council goals and objectives. The role of a manager is not to figure out what are the goals and objectives of the city or the village. Their job is to ask the council, the board of trustees, what's your vision, what are you trying to achieve? And then the manager says, okay, I can help you how to get there. Right? So it's never the manager's fault if the land use wasn't adopted the way they wanted, and they implemented that land use perfectly. They did what they're supposed to do. It's that board of trustees. If you don't like the land use, they're the ones who determine what that vision is going to look like and how that land use is there. The manager says, okay, if that's what you want, here's how we would lay that out, here's how we would move to that direction. They carry out the will of the council, not their own individual will. The mayor, their job is to ensure the operation of government achieves goals and objectives of the mayor. If the mayor disagrees with, or the president disagrees with the board of trustees, one, they can veto, but two, they also can say, I can still play this. Okay, what are you going to do? Fire me because I'm not really achieving the goals the way you want? It's not as effectively run as you'd like it to be? Guess what? I got elected as the mayor. I'm going to do what I think the people like me to do, and it may be different with the board of trustees, and I don't care. Now you have a super majority of board of trustees who try to push that, right? So there's a very different focus on whose goals they're trying to accomplish. The manager CEO offers policy recommendation that requests the council but has no power to overturn or solicit public influence. A manager should never be going out and saying, you need to go out and show up to this meeting and tell them to vote this way. It's not the role of a manager, right? The role of the manager is to say, here's the facts, here's the information, this is why we're making a recommendation that we make. If the board says, hey, we want to figure out a better way to do refuse collection, how might we do that? Okay, manager should be able to give a recommendation. They don't have to accept it. They can say, I hear you, but I'm going to do something different. Or they say, that sounds great, let's move forward. Whatever decision they make, the manager carries that out. The mayor or the president as a CEO, they will make policy recommendations to council whether they want it or not. They're going to say, here's what I want you to do. They're going to push that out. They're also going to campaign because they're still political figures. They're going to go out and use their political apparatus to try to put pressure on the board of trustees to make sure that the votes and the decisions are what they want to be. That's the role of a mayor in their elected capacity that the manager doesn't have. The other issue is a manager or CEO can be removed at any time by a simple majority vote of council. If the majority of council says, we don't want you doing this, they can fire you, right? They usually there's a contract and a stipulation if it's for cause or not for cause, and what does that look like? But they have that power. Remember, they maintain the executive power to fire that manager. And if you have a manager who's not doing the job that they're asking to do, not saying, I want you to do something shady and you don't do that. I'm saying, you need to accomplish the goal, and the goals are not being accomplished. Just like any of us in our job, if we're failing to accomplish the goals of our position, we're going to be fired. We know that. The manager is in the same position. Under the mayor council, that's not the case. They are elected into that position. If they're not good at doing their job and they're not meeting the needs of the people, you generally, in most places, it's a 4-year term. Is it a 4-year term? Yes. So your 4-year term, you wait 4 years to try to get them out of the voting box, right? If you have a recall structure, then you can try to go through the recall process. But again, it's a voting process. You can't just fire them because they're not effective, right? Even a majority of council who represents the people felt that way. The last issue is that the manager is obligated to fully and faithfully administer government to achieve the adopted goals of the council. The mayor has no such requirement to achieve the adopted goals of the council, right? So just be clear. So they both have the title of CEO. They both are responsible for running the daily operation of government. Totally different powers and totally different ways in which they go about doing that by the structure of government.